Welcome to Virtual Dine, Learn, and Move, brought to you in partnership with Prince George's County Health Department, Suburban Hospital, University of Maryland Capital Region Health, and the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, Department of Parks and Recreation, Prince George's County. Dine, Learn, and Move is designed to promote healthy lifestyle habits. Over the next 90 minutes, you will have fun, get up, and move. Learn everything about healthy eating and engage with our chef while watching a cooking demonstration. Let's get ready to dine, learn, and move.
Greetings and welcome to the November session of the 2022 Dine, Learn, and Move virtual experience. My name is Tanisha Whitlock and I'm with the University of Maryland Capital Region Health. On the behalf of Dine, Learn, and Move Collaborative Partnership, I'm here tonight supported by a team from the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, Department of Park and Recreation, Prince George's County, Suburban Hospital, and the Prince George's County Health Department. We're so glad that you're able to join us tonight. To learn more about tonight's topic, low carb eating for the holidays. Whether this is your first time with us or if you are a returning participant, we hope you have a wonderful experience tonight. We're using Zoom webinar for tonight's session. This means that all participants will remain on mute throughout the evening. You will be able to submit questions throughout the session by typing in the chat box, which you will find at the bottom of your screen. Using Zoom webinar means all participants will remain on mute throughout the evening. You will be able to ask questions throughout the session at any time by typing in the chat box that you can find at the bottom of your screen. So let's try your skills out now by typing in the chat box your zip code. This will help us learn more about where you're joining us from tonight. We have Kate with us tonight as our chat box monitor. She will be popping in and out to direct your chat box questions to our presenters, 217-20721, 20744, 29747, 20745. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Let's practice another Zoom feature by taking a poll tonight. We'd like to know how many of you are joining us for the first time and how many are returning this month. Please select one choice and submit your answer. Okay, so about 82% are joining us again. We have about 21% joining us for the first time. Welcome. Park and Recreation, Prince George's County. We would then shift gears and welcome our favorite registered dietitian, Sharma. Tonight, Sharma will tell us ways to enjoy food we love during the holidays while maintaining a low-carb diet. This segment is brought to you by Prince George's County Health Department. We'll wrap up our session tonight with a live cooking demonstration from Chef Natalie as she creates 3 delicious low-carb alternative holiday dishes. This segment is brought to you by our health system partners, the University of Maryland Capital Region Health and Suburban Hospital. So let's turn our attention now to Erica to share her fitness tips before she leads us into yoga. But one quick reminder, we are using Zoom webinar this month, which means we will not see you while you move with us. Please continue to follow the safe reminders we have for you. Get your water, clear space so there's nothing to trip on, and move at your own pace. Don't be afraid to take a break or posture modification when you need it. And most importantly, have fun. Take it away, Erica.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Erica Nash, and I'm so happy to join you. Before we get into our yoga flow, I'm going to share just a few holiday wellness tips. Can't believe Thanksgiving is next week, but here we are. So, let's get into it. It is absolutely the most wonderful time of the year. It's full of fun and friends and family, and yes, food. And it can be kind of hard to stick to to your fitness and wellness goals, but we've got a couple of tips for you to keep in mind as we go forward. So, what's the first tip? First, plan ahead. Look at your calendar and schedule your workouts to make sure they fit into your day. Be realistic as you determine how much time you have available to devote to working out so you can commit to your plan. Pack workout clothes. And I will tell you, I have my workout gear in the trunk of my car. So this can be done. Shoes and a few easy workout tools like resistance bands or ropes if you're traveling. So you can go right to your trunk or go right to your suitcase, grab it, and go. Other thing, or the second thing, is go small. And I'm a big proponent of this. Break your workouts into smaller chunks of time if you don't have time for a full session. Even brief bouts of activity offer lots of health benefits. If you can't fit in one 30-minute cardio session during the day, try a few shorter sessions instead. And I will tell you, I literally will have time for 13 minutes and 45 seconds to get a workout in. And it just happens. Take it, embrace it, love it. Shorter chunks. Number three, be creative. Find alternative ways to stay active if you're unable to do a formal workout. You can use the stairs, one of my favorites, get outside, rake the leaves, turn on the tunes, have a dance party right in the house. Also very popular with my family, and park away from the store, anything to get you moving. I can tell you for my family, we usually take a walk before or after we eat our Thanksgiving meal. And there are years where it's sort of like who's going to get the bragging rights for bowling. So be creative. There are ways to move that don't require getting on a treadmill, going to the gym, that sort of thing. Four, sign up for a holiday race. Have fun and increase your accountability. You can invite the whole family, including our furry friends. Very important. No need to run. Walking is great. The fifth tip I want to leave you with, try not to stress. It's easy to get overwhelmed and to completely stress out at this time of year. Focus on the positive, focus on what you can control, and take time to have fun and relax because this is about family and friends and fun. So, those are our five tips. And so while I put this away, the rest of our time is going to be spent with a quick flow. But what I'd like you to do, hopefully, you've moved the chairs and the tables out of the way, giving yourself lots of time and lots of space, rather, to move. But before we get started, I want to talk about props. Now, if you've taken a class with me, this block probably looks really familiar. And again, I travel with them. They stay in the trunk. So you can use blocks to help you get into a pose. Let me take a step back for a second. A lot of times people think props, it means I can't do something. Let's talk about mindset. Props mean you can do things. It means you can do a lot. So embrace it. Now, if you don't have fancy schmancy blocks, it's okay. Find some big, heavy books. We'll do the same thing. I'm going to put this down. I'm also going to use this handy dandy strap because sometimes it helps us stretch and get into those poses easily. And sometimes it's just fun to use. I mean, come on, it's pink. So that's it. And I also want to really emphasize that props are everything. Props are these mats, props are the wall, and props are is this chair. So lots of props and lots of things to help you, guide you, give you more access to more poses. All right. Now, my little session or lesson is over. What I want you to do, and I'll get into why I'm sitting now. If you feel comfortable, if you've done yoga before, you can find a place on the mat and you can sit cross-legged style, hands up to increase energy, hands down to calm the energy down. You can also lie all the way back. I'm going to stand up for just a second. You can do this to bring calmness, or you can just stand there, and we're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And now I'm going to take a seat here. This is also an option. Everybody can use yoga, but sometimes some bodies need a little bit more support, and sometimes you just want to do something different. So I am going to start our exercise or our breathing right here in the chair. My palms are going to be down. And we're just going to breathe here, inhaling in through the nose and exhaling through the nose. And if it's comfortable for you, you can go ahead and close your eyes. My eyes will stay open. And just breathe. If you're sitting, I want you to roll the shoulders up, back, and down, relaxing the shoulders out of your ears. And breathing. Sometimes we carry a lot of tension there. And breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And just letting the cares of the day just go away. This is our time now. Breathing, inhale and exhale. And inhaling, see if you can draw your breath in a little deeper. Inhale. Exhale. And we're going to take a couple of more breaths. Inhaling. Smooth exhaling. And after your next inhalation and exhalation, you can blink your eyes open if they're closed. If you're lying down, I will give you an opportunity to roll up. You can push yourself up from a position there to get yourself up however you need to do, or you can roll yourself up. If you're already in a seated position, perfect. And if you're standing, you can take a seat either in a chair or on the floor. Good. And now from here, we're going to inhale the arms up and exhale down. And again, inhaling the arms up. Exhale down. Now we're going to start with our head. Just here, we're going to look down at 6 o'clock. Taking a look down. And then taking the head back. And going down, looking down at 6 o'clock. And then tilting the head back. And now this time, as we look to 6 o'clock, we're going to round the shoulders, round the back, almost like we're holding a ball. And then we're going to emerge forward, bringing the head and chest up, or the head up, chest out. And then we're going to go back into our little ball and then emerge forward. Very nice. One more time like this. Inhale, exhale. And coming forward. Nice. Now we're going to bring our head to neutral. Take our right ear, bring it to the shoulder, really nice and easy. If you'd like, you can use that opposite hand to gently press. We're not pushing down, but gently press down. If you're seated, the hand can go to the other hand can go to the floor. And just breathe here for 3, 2, 1. And now let the hand fall away. Head's back in a neutral position. And this time we're doing the same with the other. Inhale. Exhale, hold it here. Gently warming up. And hold for 3, 2, 1. And now slowly let it go. Let's take another inhale. Exhale. Now, we're going to start to come up. So obviously, if you're in the chair, you can stand up if you'd like. If you're on the floor, you can either come up to your tabletop position, bring one foot forward, come on up, or you can come up from downward dog. So whatever your experience is great. We're going to come to the mat. We're going to roll the shoulders up, back, and down. Good. And now we're going to inhale, lift the arms. Nice. Drop the shoulders. Good. And let's lean. Right arm holding on, bracing those abs. And then coming forward, or coming to the top rather. Other side. Good. And come up. This time we're going to lean again. Good. Coming up. And this time we're going to bend our knees slightly and then come back for a little itty bitty little baby back bend. Just a little, not a lot. And then coming to the side. Good. And one more round of this. Leaning. Good. Coming up. Slight bend to the knees. Baby back bend. Good. And then leaning over other side. Good. Let the hands press together, bringing the arms, letting them fall to the side, shaking it out a little bit. Now, from here, we are going to step wide, and I'm going to have a little bit of a wider stance just because my legs are long. And we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to reach up, that right arm, reach, touch the ceiling. Fingers are spread wide. I want you to look at your hands. I'm going to look at you. And we're going to come over and feel that side stretch. And hold it here for 3, 2, 1. And coming down. And now we're doing the other side. Reach, 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 reach. So we're not in class. We're not shooting it up. But we're really intentional, taking our time almost like it's going through water. Fingers wide, looking at the hands, come over, leaning, feeling that side stretch, and holding for 3, 2, 1, and coming on up. And now we're going to bring the feet together, heels, toes. You can walk together or you can hop together. Inhale the arms up. Exhale the arms down. Good. Shake it out just a little bit. Now, we're going to bring the feet together, a little bit of a space between the feet. Roll the shoulders up, back, and down. And we're going to start a really quick flow. So we're going to start with Warrior 2, maybe familiar to you. So we're going to step this foot out and come into a lunge. You want to imagine that there is a line going from your knee to your heel. Plant that back foot there. And here, we don't want to fade here. We want to keep it up nice and strong. You want to look over. Your middle finger's gaze is strong and active, and hold here. Can we sink just a little bit lower? Good. So now we're going to come up, straighten the leg, and come down. That's 3. Come up, straighten the leg, and down. That's 2. Come up, straighten the leg, and down. That's 3. Now you can hold on to it, and I forgot to do this. If you need to use the chair or want to, this is how it looks in the chair. Keep holding, keep holding. I'm almost there. Good. Now we're going to go to triangle pose. So we're going to lengthen the leg, and then the hips are going to go back. Arms are going to reach out, and we're going to come down, triangle pose. This is where I'm going to grab my block, and you can use any size to get you where you need to be. I'm going to hold here. Now, if this pose is familiar to you, good. You can come up, bring the hand up, or you can bring the arms at an angle, or you can stay here. Good. Breathing. Inhale, exhale. Now, I want everyone to come to that traditional triangle pose. Good. Now, this hand that's in the air, it's going to come down, and you're going to turn your toes toward me. Good. And now both hands are going to come down flat on the mat. Wide leg forward fold from here. And now we're going to lift up. So lift up, taking your time, coming all the way up. I want you to bring your heels in, toes, heels, toes. And I'm going to bring my toes out a little bit. Our next move is the goddess pose. So we're going to inhale the arms up. Exhale down, coming down, either cactus hands or arms, or bringing the hands to heart center. Up to you. You want to brace the core, coming on down if you can, keeping the back straight. Yes, I know, lots of sensation in those legs. Beautiful, you look good. And come on up, let the arms fall, bring the toes in, heels, toes, heels. You can step or hop together. Inhale the arms up and exhale down. Very good. So from here, I'm going to pretend that this is a soccer ball for a second. So bringing that over, I want you to inhale the arms up. Exhale down. We're going on the other side. So this time, if you're standing, bringing it over, coming over here, getting a nice stance. Hold on to that. If you want to use your chair and sit, perfect. Now, just because you're sitting doesn't mean you're here. You're up here and you're still breathing. I know. So you are here holding on to the pose, holding on really nice and active. For the class, the rest of the class that may be standing up, from here we're going to lengthen that front leg and lower. That's 3. Lengthen that leg. That's 2. And one more time from you got it. Lengthen that leg. I was about to say lift it, but lengthen. Good. And now coming back down. Hold it here. Breathe. Now let's lengthen the leg. Send the hips back. Reaching toward the wall or the door. Or reaching to another person. Come on down. Triangle pose. Now again, I'm going to break the pose a little bit to get my block. You can be here. You can be here. And one more thing, your gaze can be down or it can be up. But if this is new to you, consider looking down. Also, you have your option. You can bring your hand up or you can bring the arms at an angle. Again, if triangle pose is familiar to you. Good. Inhale, exhale. Now we're all at our traditional triangle. Very good. Now this hand that's in the air that I'm waving, coming down to the floor. You're carefully turning your toes toward me, hands toward me, hands now on the floor, flat on the floor, wide leg stretch. Now, important to remember, and I forgot to cue it earlier, even though my head's down, you want your elbows to go back, not on the side, so no chicken wings. Good. Breathe here. Inhale. Exhale. And now pushing yourself up. I'm going to get that block out of the way. Coming up, taking your time. Bring the heels in, toes, heels, toes. Good. Inhale. Exhale, making sure the toes are out, coming into that goddess pose again. And, you don't have to come down immediately. If you're here, take a moment, plant your feet, drop down a little bit lower, bracing those abs. And you can also go right against the wall because you want to imagine yourself back literally to the wall. Good. Hold here, hold. And now slowly rise, straighten the legs, inhale the arms up, exhale the arms down. And now again, heels, toes, step together or hop together. I just felt like hopping and let it go. How's everybody feeling? I hope everyone's feeling a little bit of nice and warmth. And I think I'm going to have you all stretch out because our time has gone just that quickly. So I'm going to have you inhale your arms up. Exhale down. Inhaling the arms up one more time. Exhale down. And one more time, inhale the arms up. exhale down, and I'm going to take a seat here. If you need another moment to come down, you can also inhale the arms up here. But I'm bringing my hands to heart center and thanking you for joining me for this short flow. Namaste.
Wow. Thank you, Erica. Namaste. Namaste. Wow. Thank you so much. Now we're going to learn all about low carb dishes that we can enjoy this holiday season. Take it away, Sharma.
Oh, I have to unmute. Well, welcome to Dine, Learn, and Move again. I am excited to be here on talking about low carbs eating for the holidays. I think it was yesterday, there was a really nice article on the Washington Post on foods that lower your blood sugar levels. And it is in reference to, because this month is National Diabetes Awareness Month. So for those of you who have type 2 diabetes or prediabetes, it's great to get some more information. And what the article also showed, and you can look it up, is that we have over 20% of our population that has type 2 diabetes and they're not aware of it. And even higher, 80% of the population has prediabetes and they're not aware of it. There was a study done by CDC for a program called DPP, Diabetes Prevention Program. And we at the Health Department do have that program going on right now. And it has shown that 71% of the participants who took part in that program, they previously had been diagnosed with prediabetes. They did not progress to type 2 diabetes. That is a significant amount, and it's really great. So my first slide is on carbohydrates, because carbohydrate is one of the foods that people are so afraid of. Carbohydrates really have gotten a bad rap. We have had so many diets that, like the Atkins diet that says no carbs, and we have seen the repercussions of what happens when we have no carbs. But it's not, we cannot go with no carbs. We need to know what type of carbs that we should really implement in our meal plan. And the type, when we look at the types, there are two types. One is called complex carbohydrates. And it is, as its name said, complex, meaning it comes from the soil, it's whole grain, it's not processed, okay? And it is very beneficial to our bodies. And the simple carbohydrates is found in foods that are processed, your sugary drinks, any foods that is simply made, using white rice, white flour, instead of using whole grain or whole wheat flour. These are the difference between the complex and the simple carbohydrates. With the simple carbohydrates also, we tend to overindulge during the holiday time. And that's what happens by the end of the year. We get that 10 pounds weight gain by January. So we want to avoid that. And we also want to keep our blood sugar level intact. So not competing, but cut back on the simple carbs. So the biggest question people ask is, well, what is the benefits of carbohydrates? Great question. It gives us energy. The carbohydrates gives us energy. It also is a good source of fiber. People have problems with going to the bathroom, so it helps with elimination. It helps with your digestion of foods. It's for athletes. If we just had an exercise done, if you're exercising, you burn the carbs better. It helps with your memory. People who have, as we get older, we end up with dementia. Some of our carbohydrate foods will be beneficial for us. And also it helps with your moods. I know a lot of times we think it's the sugary ones that will, when you get depressed, you said, oh, I need something sweet. And we would take that to uplift our moods. It does not have to be the simple sugars. It could be the complex carbs in that. So the big question again is, well, how much carbohydrates do we need? Your body needs carbohydrates. How much you need is really, really important. We goes from eating no carbs to a meal with only 10 grams of carbs. It is not sufficient. Your brain needs glucose. So we need an average of between, we say, for female, you can get between 45 to 60 grams of carbs per meal. And for male, could go up from 60 to 75 grams of carbs per meal. And that sounds really complex. But if you look at the labels, it will tell you how many grams of carbohydrate is in that product that you're purchasing or you're about to eat. It clearly states 1 serving of carb is about 15 grams. 1 gram of carbs is about 4 calories. So if you're using at least, 45 grams of carbs per meal, not for the whole day, like the Atkins said, per meal, it will keep your body energized, keep your organ functioning in the right way, and you would feel better. You would have less headaches, less stress. When your blood sugar level drops, people begin to feel tired, no energy. You begin to feel sleepy. Please make sure that you don't be on the road driving when your blood sugar level, when you're feeling like that. You need to make sure that you eat on time and you have sufficient carbohydrates at each meal. One of the things I always remind people is just, they're not the grab and go. A lot of times people figure that, well, I got to get out of here. I need something quick. And they go in with the simple drinks. Look at the amount of carbohydrates and look at the amount of sugar that is in those products. Sometimes there's just as much sugar and carbs in this one drink. And I don't like to name names, but some of the, I think it's Starbucks Frappuccino or one of those beverages, they had at least 20 to 30 grams of sugar in it. And if you look at your sodas, your drink, regular sodas, has about 16 teaspoons of sugar. And that is simple sugars. And that's a form of carbohydrates. Those are the ones we do not need because the excessive amount of those will cause the weight gain. And that's what we are trying to prevent, especially during the holidays. We want to enjoy our holidays, but we do not want our holidays to put us to cause us to have any disease or illnesses or weight gain. So we need to look at how could we do this? What could we do during this holiday time? I looked at our chef recipes, and just to show you, there are so much fun recipes that you can use that are low in carbs that will help you. And those that I noticed that she has, they are extremely low in carbs. They have less than 20 grams of carbs for those recipes. So check out on Google or check with us and see what recipes can we use that are low in carbs. And how could we survive this big holiday that is coming up? Simple things. One thing I tell people is to set some goals. Be realistic in what you're doing. A lot of times we tend to just on the spur of the moment, someone invites us out, we have no clue where, when, or what type of a party it is. Investigate first before you go. You may want to take your own food, not your own food as a BYO. Bring your own, bring some things that you know that you would eat. Sometimes we go out, especially during this holiday time, for the Christmas party, Thanksgiving party, and all they have is either alcohol and finger foods, and you're hungry. So you begin to eat more than you should of the finger foods, which are usually fried, sugary, and because they look small portions, you tend to eat more of it. So be careful with the portions that you're eating and finger foods. If you're invited out, have a snack before you go. Have a piece of fruit. One thing that will fill you up really quickly is really a small apple or pear. And that will hold you. So planning ahead is really important. We don't want to stop your socialization because that is great. That is one way that we enjoy our holidays, but we have to be a little smarter in the choices that we make. And if you need help, ask a friend. Say, oh, we're going over to Sharon's house and you know what she cooks. Please help me to make the right decision and not eating too much of that apple pie, that the famous apple pie that she's making. And it's nothing wrong with eating it. It's how much. You only need 2 tablespoons. Your brain knows that what apple pie tastes like already, or what German chocolate cake tastes like. So it only needs like 2 tablespoons. Once you get that 2 tablespoons, that sugary taste and the feeling is satisfied. It's just that we continue to eat half of the pie or half of the cake. We continue to go on. So your portions is really important here. We're not here to spoil your holiday. We're just here to help you make sensible choices in what you're making. We talked about, you did the exercise already. So if you're going to be eating more than you should at an event, yes, do a little bit more exercise. Count your steps. Say, I'm going to be out at whatever event, and I'm going to be eating a little bit more. So do the exercise before or after. So this way you can burn up a couple of those extra calories that you have been taking. You got to be kind to yourself. You have to prevent the onslaught of type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. Eat slower, be mindful. We tend to go too fast in our eating. Before you know it, especially I was looking at the group even at my house with the game is going on. And when the game is excited, people just tends to eat without being conscious of how much they're eating. They go back and forth and they keep eating and drinking, and they're not aware of it. Until after the game, you look around, you say, where all the food went? You ate it. You ate it and was not aware of it. So be aware of your surrounding. Be aware of what you're eating. Everything you put on your plate, look at it for a few seconds. Taste it first, but do not eat it in a speedy way. Okay. Leftovers. If you have a problems with leftovers, share it. Have people take it, have a to-go bag. Make sure you pack up some of those extra foods, especially the ones that are simple carbs, and share it, give it away. Don't keep it, because the tendency is that you will overeat on it. Or you can freeze it. Get one of those freezer bags and freeze it. You can freeze almost anything these days. So freeze it. And this way you can take it and freeze it in portion control. So don't use a gallon bag, freezer bags, use a quart. You know how much you eat. So get a smaller portions and make sure that you freeze it in that way. Next slide. Make holiday swaps. And when we talk about holiday swapping, I smile. Just a couple of years ago, fried turkey was the biggest hit. I mean, it really tastes good. And everyone was ordering fried turkey. And guess what? The calories were extraordinary. It's very high in calories, but yet we would have a tendency to continue to eat it until it disappears. So be mindful of that. If we're going to get the turkey, there's nothing wrong with the turkey. There's nothing wrong with the turkey. I'm seeing again something here with my camera. There's nothing wrong with your turkey meats. It's just get the white part of it instead of getting the darker meats. You can get the white part, and you'll get less calories in that. If you look at the comparison of the 3 ounces of dark meat versus 3 ounces of turkey breast, you'll see the difference in calories. And think about the fried part of it. The frying of the turkey is double the amount. Thinking about looking at, turkey isn't good without cranberry sauce. And when you buy the canned cranberry sauce, it's a lot of sugar. Look at the labels and you'll see how high the sugar content is. But if you just get your fresh cranberries or relish and make your own, it's even better and it tastes better. So stick with what you know. As we said, not the simple carbs, The can is a simple carb. The fresh one is not simple, it's more complex. Our big delicacy is that during Thanksgiving is our apple pies. How could you have a Thanksgiving without apple pie and pumpkin pies or pecan pies? That's part of the tradition. Well, I'm from the island, so we would not have it, but I'm adopting it here. So look at, sometimes have a sliver of that sliced apple pie or the pumpkin pie. You don't have to go overboard. As I say, 2 tablespoons, split it with a friend or some other family member, or 3 people can eat from 1 slice. You each have individual spoons, and that will be fine. So be aware of the portions. It's not the food. As I said, we don't want to spoil your holiday. We want you to have a healthy life and to prevent type 2 diabetes and weight gain, or even healthy diet and healthy eating will prevent hypertension, heart disease, obesity, and a whole host of other problems. So be mindful of that. Just getting a sliced apple and put in some cinnamon and put it in the oven is also really good. And it tastes good. So you can always try those. What you put on top of it, we don't always have to put whipped cream or any simple sugars on it. Or you can put sometimes yogurt. Try some frozen yogurt sometimes, and you will see that it would help. And it gives you the same, not exactly the same, but you can really feel the taste in there. I have a thing, I like oatmeal raisin cookies. And I went to an event and they had the oatmeal raisin cookie. And when I looked at the calories, I was stunned. In one of these huge cookies, that thing had 400 calories in 1 cookie. Be mindful of that. If you're going to have the cookie, get one that has 100 or less, 100, 110 calories. But 400 calories and 40 grams of carbs, that's your carbohydrate for a whole meal. You have to be really diligent and mindful of what you're eating and where your carbs are coming from. It's okay to have the oatmeal raisin cookie or the chocolate chip cookie, but just take a small pinch out of it. Share that cookie could be shared with 4 or 5 people. I know my friends were laughing when I said, oh no, I'm just going to take, I can share this with. They said, no, we want the whole cookie. But it is not acceptable. It's acceptable if you were looking to have type 2 diabetes or you're just or having excessive weight gain. So be mindful of these. The holiday is meant for us to enjoy and to spread, and to be with our families and friends. And just not eating excessively. Spend time with talking and socializing instead of just concentrating on the food. We need to be more lively, be the life of the party, dance, play games, focus on enjoying each other's company and not just focus on the food. I will stop for any questions that anyone may have.
Okay, you can place your questions in the chat box if you would like.
One of the things I want to also emphasize is on your beverages. If you're drinking alcoholic beverages, watch what you're chasing it with. If you're going to be using, try to get something that is sugar-free, sparkling water, or any sugar-free beverages. Thank you, Cassandra.
Okay, seems like we don't have any questions tonight. So thank you so much, Sharma, for sharing these great
We do
dishes that
have a
we can.
hand raised, actually, Tanisha. Miss Carol Quarles. Miss Carol, if you're able to type your question, we'd love to answer it. Sorry, Tanisha. right, we can keep it moving. and
Yes,
we'll keep our
I'm here. I will
questions
answer
good.
questions after, if anyone has any questions. And my chef Natalie, she's also a registered licensed nutritionist. So it's great to have, a colleague with me on, so she can, if I can't answer the questions, she will be able to. And the
Okay,
question is, if you purchase turkey, would it most likely have more No, if you purchase turkey, it's a meat and it's a good source of protein. It's how you prepare it. Baking the turkey is excellent. The problem is sometimes is that the drippings from the turkey, which is all the fat, we take it and we make gravy with it. What we need to do is put that gravy in the refrigerator or put some ice cubes in it. So when the fat comes at the top, we remove that fat and we use the stock for gravy, but not taking. And we do that with whether we doing turkey or we baking roast beef or pork loins. We take the drippings to make gravy, and that's adding fat. So we do not want to use that fat. We want to use the drippings itself. So remove the top part of it, put it in the refrigerator for a couple of hours, and you'll see the fat rises to the top. And you could skim that off and make your gravy with it.
perfect. Yes. Thank you so much, Sherma, for sharing ways we can enjoy our favorite holiday dishes while maintaining a low carb diet. Thank you. Now we're going to say hello to Chef Natalie for our live cooking demonstration. A link to the recipes was sent with your Dine Learn and Move confirmation email. Don't forget, Kate is here to share your questions, so please use the chat box feature to type a cooking question for Chef Natalie. We hope you are able to join us through the end of the demonstration, but if you must log off before 7:30, a link to our evaluation will pop up on your screen. We ask that you take a few moments to complete it tonight as we can better serve you in the future as we plan our upcoming Dine, Learn, and Move sessions. Your feedback is very important to us and impacts our ability to continue to provide you Dine, Learn, and Move virtually. Okay, Chef, I'm turning it over to you now.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to my kitchen. And Shamra, thank you for all the great tips, because now we're going to get to put them in play. But the first thing that's really important part of healthy eating is making sure that the food and the way that we prepare it is safe. So I'm going to go wash my hands, but while I wash my hands, I have a question for you. So, and Sharma shared a lot of common Thanksgiving foods and the calories. So my question for you while I wash my hands is, a typical Thanksgiving meal contains how many calories? So in the chat box, write your answer, what you think it is. Is it 1,000? Is it 2,000? Or is it 3,000 calories in a typical Thanksgiving meal? Please type your answer in the chat box.
Oh boy, it sounds like they're coming in all over across the board, including 1 billion. Not anymore. They listen to Sherman's tips for substitutions, but you're getting a lot of 1 and 2,000s.
One
A
and
couple
2,000.
threes. Actually, no, the threes are coming in.
Okay.
Yeah.
1, 2,
Maybe.
or 3,000 calories.
Seems evenly split.
Typical Thanksgiving meal. So the answer is 3,000 calories in one meal. So here we're going to spend a whole day together with our family. We're going to focus around one big meal, and it typically is 3,000 calories. Now, to gain a pound is 3,500 calories. So we're only about 500 calories short just from getting an extra pound in there for us. So what I wanted to share with you tonight is just some tips and tricks on a few recipes that I like to put on my table. And in my table, I have to be thoughtful of who's coming. So I have some people that are vegans, so they don't want any kind of animal foods. I have some folks that have diabetes. I have some folks that have heart disease. So being mindful of all those things, I have a few recipes that I'm going to share with you today that's going to help feed and nourish those folks. Now, I tried them out on some friends this weekend. When I told them what I was going to have, people were a little skeptical, especially when I said I was making stuffing with green tea. Raised a lot of eyebrows, had a lot of skepticism, but it was all gone. So it was absolutely delicious, and I hope that you'll try them and find the same thing. So the first thing that we're going to work on tonight is we're going to roast some vegetables for 2 side dishes, because as Sharma mentioned, a lot of the calories and the carbohydrate come from the side dishes and the desserts. So that's what I focused in on tonight. Sharma had in her slide, I had to get my glasses out to see that in a typical sweet potato dish, like a sweet potato casserole, marshmallows on top, butter, brown sugar in there, 600 calories. We're going to roast some sweet potatoes tonight, and I've got it down to 150 calories. So when I was growing up, my mother always said, we're going to have an orange vegetable and a green vegetable with dinner. And she was right on the money, because some of the most potent protective nutrients are found in orange and green vegetables. So the sweet potato, and in the United States, a lot of times people say they're having yams. It's pretty rare that you're going to see yams in a supermarket. When they have a point at the end, and they have a smooth skin, and they have orange, or can be white, or can be purple flesh, it's a sweet potato. So I have just washed the outside. I peeled it, and I've cut them into some cubes. Now I have a baking dish here, and I always line it with parchment paper. It just makes it easier to clean. So we're going to put some in the dish, and I'm going to save some room because we're going to do a couple of things at the same time. So to these sweet potatoes, I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil. We're going to add a little bit of honey. A little bit of cinnamon. A little bit of salt and pepper. And that's all you're going to need. It's going to bring out the natural sweetness. When we roast it in the oven, it's going to have a nice golden brown color to it. Okay. Now, I'm also going to roast some acorn squash that we're going to use on our salad. So when you get the acorn squash, the one that I have tonight is green. You can also get it that it is yellow on the outside. You're going to notice that the flesh is orange, kind of like the sweet potatoes. Sharma had mentioned about complex carbohydrates, and it included starchy vegetables like winter squashes, like acorn, butternut squash, also things like the sweet potato. When you cut it in half, you're going to see inside that it has seeds. So you're just going to scrape those out. So you clean out the seeds. And then you're just going to slice it. And I just put the flat side down, and then I make about 1-inch slices like I have here. Now, we're going to add this to that dish that we had, the sweet potatoes. We're going to make a little marinade for the roasted acorn squash. So we're gonna start with a little olive oil. And we use olive oil because it's considered a healthier fat. A fat that's less likely to stick to the cholesterol that's in our bloodstream and form plaque that would increase your risk of heart disease, which is common amongst people that have diabetes. We're going to add a little bit of maple syrup. So some of you may know that I have moved back home. I'm in Connecticut, and I took some friends to tap some trees so that we could make our own maple syrup. So they were like, what adventure are we going on this weekend? But it was really interesting. It comes out of the tree kind of clear, looks like water, but it's all in the process of heating it up that makes it brown and it brings out its natural sweetness. So olive oil, a little bit of maple syrup. We're going to add a little bit of cinnamon. And we're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. So just going to whisk this together. We're going to put a little bit on each side. So I'm just going to flip these over. We're going to add the same little marinade to the other side. Now, when you roast vegetables, you want the oven to be hot, about 375, 400. So I'm going to move a few things out the way and get us ready for the next dish. Which is the stuffing. So it's some green tea stuffing, and it starts with some old dried bread. So what I did is I took some bread and I sliced it and cut it into cubes. I laid it on a baking sheet and I just put a towel over it. It's been like this since yesterday. Now, a lot of times when it comes to recipes for stuffing, they talk about using stale bread. That's how you make it stale. When it first came out of the package, these cubes were really soft, and now they're harder. And it allows for the other items that we're going to add to it for it to absorb into it nicely. So what are we going to add? We're going to add some herbs, and I'm going to use traditional herbs. We have some thyme and I have some sage. And over here on the stove, so I'm going to bring you over to my stove. I have some onion, some celery, and I like to use carrot in my dressing. But another thing that we need to get going over here too, move the camera so be able to see that, is we gotta get the tea going. So I have the water boiled and I'm just adding it to the cup with the tea. So to this, I'm gonna add some mushrooms. We're gonna add them and let those soften. Gonna add the herbs. So the sage and the thyme just comes right off the stalk. And we're gonna let that saute together for a little bit. We're gonna come back over here. And I have the tea that's gonna be brewing as well. Now, when it comes to tea, how many varieties of tea are there? Are there 4? Are there 6? Or are there 8? Please type your answer in the chat box. 4, 6, or 8.
So far, we have mostly 4s and 6s. We do see an 8.
Mhm. So the answer is 4. You have black, you have oolong, you have green, and you have white. Black, oolong, green, and white. 4 varieties of tea. Now, you might have heard about the health benefits of tea. And the health benefits are seen when you have one of those 4 varieties. And the deal about it is that the tea has to steep for at least 4 minutes. So a lot of times when we make cups of tea, we'll dump the bag. 2 seconds later, we're taking it out. It needs to sit. Their tea is made from a plant. Plants have lots of nutrients in there for us. One of the components that are found in plants are phytochemicals. Phytochemicals give color to a food. That's what makes the sweet potato orange. It gives aroma to a food, so that if you go past a display of lemons in the supermarket and you smell that aroma, that's the phytochemicals that are in there. If you were cooking things like kale or collard greens and you smell them throughout the house, that's the phytochemicals in there. If you were to bite into an apple, part of the taste is coming from the phytochemicals. But the science shows is that these phytochemicals have health benefits as well. So one of the phytochemicals that's found in green tea is helpful in terms of heart health. It's been noted to lower your LDLs, known as your bad cholesterol. So we want to have tea, and it can be a cup of tea that you have, or that you can add it to food that you're going to make. So when it comes to dressing, and a lot of times people will call it dressing, sometimes they will call it stuffing. It's the same recipe, it's just whether or not you stuff it into the turkey or if you bake it on the outside, it's called dressing. The basics to it is some kind of bread that's been dried, that's stale, that's been toasted, some kind of seasoning. And so we're going to use our onions, our celery. Let me just switch this out for you. So we're going to add our mixture of our onions, our celery, our carrots, our mushrooms. And the liquid that we're going to use is the tea. So remember, the bread is stale because it was cut up, it was left out, it was just covered with a towel. So you want it to sit for about 10 minutes, and then you're going to pop it into the oven. So it allows it to absorb all of the flavors and the liquid from the tea and the flavors from the onions and the celery and the carrots that we use. Now, we're going to use the roasted acorn squash for a salad. Now, this is my grandmother Webb's plate, and her plate is the size that a plate is supposed to be. It's 8 inches. The plates that we have now have gotten larger. So that means that we're going to want to have larger amounts of food on the plate. So if you can get smaller plates, great. If not, just be mindful that plates are bigger. So when we're talking about half of a plate, we're talking about half of an 8-inch plate. So those non-starchy vegetables, you want to cover about half of your plate. I'm using a mix of salad greens. I like green leaf lettuce and I like spring mix. And then I also added some other greens as well. I like to use arugula because it has kind of a peppery flavor to it. Now, I'm going to top it with the roasted acorn squash. I had some that I did a little earlier. And the skin can be eaten. It's nice and soft now that it has been roasted. And I wish you could smell it because it smells absolutely delicious. Now, I like to add a few things to my salad. So let me just pull another tray over. Things that I like to add. So I have some pumpkin seeds. You'll see them listed sometimes as pepitas, and these are just roasted, salted pumpkin seeds, lightly salted. Gives it a little extra crunch. It has monounsaturated fats in the pumpkin seeds. That's the same kind of healthy fat they always talk about you're going to find in olive oil. I like to add a little sweetness to it, so I have some cranberries. These are dried cranberries. I like to add a little bit of goat cheese. Gives a little tanginess, a nice complement to the sweetness from the cherries. And I like to add a little bit of pomegranate. Now, pomegranate is a fruit, and get it over here so you can see it. When you select it, you want to pick it up and put it in your palm, and it should feel kind of heavy. The seeds have a lot of water in them, so when they are ripe, it's going to feel heavier to you. You're just going to take your knife and you're going to cut the top off. That's a cap. Now, pomegranates are sectional fruits, and sectional fruits have a membrane. So when you think about a sectional fruit, think about things like an orange, like a grapefruit, a lemon, or a lime. So you'll see the different membranes or the different sections in here, and you want to just run your knife in line with the membrane. So then it makes it really easy for you to separate it out, and it comes out really nice and easy. Now the little seeds, they're intact, and if you turn it over and you hit it hard with a spoon or a spatula, they pop out for you. So we're going to add some of the pomegranate seeds to our salad. Now, a nutrient that's really important when it comes to heart health is potassium. Potassium is found naturally in vegetables and fruit. So the more vegetables and fruit that you can have in their original state, So like the leafy green vegetables that we have, the pomegranate seeds, those, the more potassium you're going to have, the better it is going to be for your heart health. Now for to pump up the protein in the salad, sometimes I'll add quinoa. Now quinoa is a grain. I mix this one with a little bit of brown rice. You can have it plain. You don't even have to put it on there. Okay. So we're going to make a dressing to go on the salad. And the dressing has a little bit of olive oil. Some apple cider vinegar. Some maple syrup. And a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm going to just shake it up and pour it on the salad. Now, when it comes to salads like this, for me, that have other ingredients on there, it has the fruit, it has some grains, it has a variety of vegetables on there. The flavors that we've layered already there, because we have added seasoning to the vegetables when we roasted it, often can be enough. You don't really need to add a lot of dressing to it or any at all. So if you're looking for a way to cut back on some of the calories or some of the fat or the carbohydrate, that would be a way, is to limit how much of the dressing that you add. Now, for this dish, for this amount of salad, which is a half a plate of the salad, it is 180 calories and it's 15 grams of carbs. So Sharma reminded us that in a meal, you want to aim for about 45 grams of carbs. So a third is covered right here for us. We have the roasted sweet potatoes.
Chef, we had a question about the about the paper that you used on that baking
Sure.
dish. Is it parchment?
This is parchment paper. So you see that when it was in the oven, it turns brown. It doesn't burn, it doesn't catch on fire, but it keeps the dish clean. You don't have to add fat because it won't stick. The food slides off nicely from it. So we have our roasted sweet potatoes. And for our roasted sweet potatoes, it's also 15 grams of carbohydrate. It's about a quarter of our plate. And it's about 150 calories versus the 600 calories that Sharma had for her sweet potato casserole with the marshmallows on there. I'm just going to pull out my stuffing. So this is our green tea stuffing. And I usually like to put a little fresh parsley on top.
Chef, the plate that you're preparing, your
Yes.
8-inch plate, is that one serving?
Yes, absolutely. This is one serving. So with the green tea stuffing, in a traditional serving of stuffing, Sharma reminded us it's about 350 calories. It's about 17 grams of fat. This one's 115. It has 4 grams of fat. It also is about 15 grams of carbohydrate. So we were able to lighten up the load just by switching out a few ingredients and just being mindful about the portion size, what we're going to have more of. I typically set up a buffet when it comes to the holidays because I have a lot of people that are coming over to the house. Whatever is closest to the plate. So, at one end of the buffet, I have the plates and then I have all the dishes lined up and people will go down each side of the buffet table. Now, whatever food is closest to the plate is what people are going to take the most of. So if I want them to have more salad, I'm going to have the plate and then I'm going to have the bowl of salad. The things that I want them to have less of, I'll put further down the end of the table, or I portion it out for them. So a lot of times when I do things like the stuffing and even the sweet potatoes, I'll put it in a muffin cup. So like the papers that you would use when you make muffins or cupcakes. So that way they're just picking up one and that already has the serving size done for them. And then I snuck in the tea. So the green tea is not only something that you have to drink, because people tell me, oh, I don't like green tea. Why don't you use vegetable broth? And the reason I was using the green tea is because I have vegans that aren't going to want to use like the chicken broth that I would typically use in a stuffing. The vegetable broths use a variety of vegetables. Oftentimes it has a lot of carrot in there. So it has a really sweet taste to me. So when I would make the stuffing without an animal broth like chicken broth, and I substituted the vegetable broth, it was too sweet. But the green tea has a nice flavor to it. It's pretty mild. It's complemented by the onions, the celery, the carrot, and then the spices that we use, the sage and the thyme. And it makes a really nice dressing. So the folks that tasted it this weekend, they loved it. Couldn't believe that there was no butter in there. Didn't use any chicken broth, that I used the green tea instead. Now, Sharma was answering a question about turkey earlier, and she was talking about how the meat is lean, and it's just, how you prepare it, that it is key. So when you stuff the stuffing inside of the turkey, as the turkey is roasting, the fat from the skin, the fat that's naturally under the skin of the turkey starts to melt. And just like when we were making the stuffing, the bread cubes absorb the green tea, that will absorb the fat from the turkey. So when you're trying to cut back on the fat and being heart healthy, bake it on the outside. I like to put lemon, onion, celery inside of my turkey when I roast it. Gives a nice flavor to the meat, and you don't have your stuffing being inundated with fat. I too, like Sharma, degrease the juice that comes from the roasted turkey before I make my gravy. I just pour it into a Ziploc bag. So if you let it sit on the counter for about a minute, the fat rises to the top. And then I clip the corner of the bag, and then the juices will run out. And then when it gets to the fat, then I just take it away. So there are lots of tips and tricks to help you to be mindful about saving on the carbohydrates and the fat. And those were just some that I wanted to share with you about the dinner. I also made dessert. So let me bring that over.
Chef, while you're pulling that out, we had a question from Miss Heidi at the beginning, right in the transition, and about fruits and vegetables have simple carbs, but we should eat more of fruits and veggies. Isn't this conflicting advice?
Yeah, so oftentimes when you'll hear me say it, I always talk about vegetables and fruit because I want you to eat more vegetables than fruit. Vegetables have less sugar than fruit has. But when it comes to fruit, as Sharma was mentioning, if you keep it as close to its original state as possible, it's going to have both simple and complex carbohydrate. So let's take an apple, for example. If you eat an apple, you bite into an apple, it has the skin, it has fiber in the skin, so that's the complex portion of the fruit. Inside of the flesh is also some fiber as well, but you're also going to find some simple in there. Most of the simple is in the juice. So you bite, you eat the apple, it's fine. But once we start changing the form of the apple, we smash it up, we make it into applesauce. Or we smash it even further and we make it into juice. That's when you're going to get a concentrated source or a lot of those simple sugars. Now, when we drink a glass of juice, you can chug it down, swallow it quickly, zoop, your blood sugar goes up high, and it happens fast. But if you have to eat it as an apple, you bite it, you chew it, you swallow it, your blood sugar is going to go up, but it's going to go up slow and steady. And that's the way that your body wants to receive sugar, is slow and steady. So having more complex carbohydrates, whole grains, vegetables, whole pieces of fruit is going to be better options for us than the simple ones, the ones that have been more processed. So that was a great question for whoever asked that for us today. I decided to make you a cranberry sour cream almond cake. Now, this cake, you can use sour cream or you can use yogurt, and I opted to use yogurt instead. I don't know if anybody's ever used almond flour. Poured some out for you. Let me see if I can find it. So all they do is they take almonds and they grind it up. So a lot of times when we make cake, the main ingredient is going to be flour. And remember, flour is a carbohydrate. It's going to make your blood sugar go up high. And when we make cake, we often add things that are going to be sweet. So we add sugar. So the combination of the flour and the sugar is really going to make our blood sugar go up high and happen fast. Looking at some of the desserts that were in the slides that Sharma shared with us tonight, a piece of pie, I think she was talking about, is almost 400 calories. A piece of this cake is 250. And one way to cut back on the calories is to switch up the flour to a nut flour. Now, be mindful if people have nut allergies, you don't want to use this. You're going to get this kind of flour in the same section of the grocery store where you would get regular wheat flour. Couple of things that were tweaked in this recipe. In a blender, I put a banana, I put some eggs, and I put the yogurt, and I blend it up. In a bowl, I had the almond flour, and then I had baking soda, baking powder, salt. That's what's going to make the cake rise. And I added a little bit of cinnamon, and the recipe calls for some kind of sweetener. I used brown sugar. You can use maple syrup. You can use a non-nutritive sweetener. Some vanilla was added as well. A little bit of apple cider. That helps when you don't have things like flour in there. And I used a banana instead of using fat. So a lot of cake recipes will have you add oil to it. So to lighten up the calories as well as the amount of fat that was in the cake, made a few substitutions. Use a banana instead of oil. I use whole fresh cranberries. So just folded them into the batter, lined the cake pan with that parchment paper, just oiled the rim of the pan and poured the batter in. I topped the cake with some additional cranberries, and you bake it in the oven. And this is the cranberry sour cream almond cake. You can use sour cream. I like to use Greek yogurt in place of it. Has more nutrients in there for you, but the flavor is very similar. Now, this cake has icing as an option. Half of the calories and the carbohydrates that are in this recipe come from the icing. So if you want to say, and this cake is delicious just as it is. So if you want to save on some of the carbohydrates and some of the calories, that's a good way. It's just put it on the side, let people put it on their own if they choose to have it. So one piece of this cake is 250 calories versus the 350 to the 600 calories that we saw with the different types of pies in Sharma's presentation. And as I mentioned, as it is with the icing on it, it's 37 grams of carbohydrate. But you want to drop it down to 18, leave the icing off. It's delicious just plain with the cranberries and the nut flavor and the sweetness coming from the bananas. You won't even miss it without having the dress, the glaze on there as well. So just a couple of recipes that I hope that you'll try. Has anybody tried any of them? Because I know that they were sent to you before. Did anybody get a chance to try any? And if you haven't tried them yet, any that you plan to try with your family this holiday?
Hi, Chef. It's the cake for me, but we have a question as people are going to type their answers.
Okay. Awesome.
Starting with the cranberries, they were cooked, correct, with the cake, so they are not raw.
They started out raw.
Started off raw,
Mm-hmm.
then cooked with the cake.
They were cooked in the cake.
And can you review the sources of protein in this meal for us, please?
So when you go to the grocery store and the produce section, you're going to see cranberries there. So they were just washed, patted dry, and then I folded them into the cake batter. I put a few extra on the top. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Would you mind reviewing all the sources of protein in this meal?
Yeah, absolutely. So protein is found in all foods except for fruit. So in the salad, we have protein that came from the greens. Not much, but there's some. In the winter squash, and we use acorn squash. You notice that they were roasted and I left the skin on. The skin is very soft. You can eat the skin. Good source of fiber for you, but it's soft enough for you to eat right through. Or you can remove it. There's more protein also added in the quinoa. That was the grain that I added to the salad, as well as the goat cheese. There's also protein that's found in the bread that was used in the stuffing, the dressing that I made, as well as in the sweet potatoes. So when folks like my niece who is a vegetarian, she's not going to be adding turkey to her plate. She's still going to get adequate amount of protein just from this variety of foods that we have. So just as a reminder, you're going to get protein in all food groups except for fruit. Now, when it comes to protein, protein is made up of amino acids. Now, if there are some amino acids that our body can't make, you have to get them from your food. Those are considered to be essential amino acids. Now, if there are 8 essential amino acids, if a food has all 8 in them, it's considered to be a complete protein. So like your turkey, foods that come from animals like turkey, like the cheese, like milk, like yogurt, like chicken, all of that will be complete protein. But when you're having plant-based sources of protein, they're going to be missing or low in at least one of those essential. They're considered to be incomplete. So if you mix and match your plant sources, they complement each other and they help to make the protein to be complete. So someone who chooses not to have any animal food, they say no thank you to the turkey, they can still have good sources of protein by having a variety of plant foods. So one of the important aspects of good nutrition is variety. And that's to give you a variety of nutrients, for good health. So as we look at the plate, we can see that this would fit into the world of someone who has diabetes. Good sources of non-starchy plant foods like the leafy vegetables, the salad greens, winter squashes that are complex carbohydrate, having smaller quantities of higher carbohydrate foods and tweaking the recipes like the dressing and the roasted sweet potatoes. But also we were mindful about heart health as well by minimizing how they were prepared and the ingredients that we added.
Thanks, Chef. And I'll just address a few questions that came in regarding the recipes. They were sent with your link as in the link form. So if you were looking for an attachment, you may have missed it, but don't worry. They will come one more time with the follow-up to this presentation. We'll give you a link to the recording as well as Sharma's slides and then the recipes again. So everyone will be well equipped for entertaining next week.
All right, thank you so much, Chef Natalie. Those were some great holiday alternatives. I can't wait to try it next weekend. This was another great night. We know you learned a lot and even got to interact with the fitness and cooking demonstrations. Could you let us know more about your experience by taking a few minutes to complete the evaluation as you log off? The survey is anonymous, but you have the option of leaving your name at the end. Next month, we will select a winner from those who have completed the evaluation and left their name. The wheel you're about to see is filled with names of those who have completed the evaluation in October and left their names at the end. Next month, you will only see your name on the wheel if you complete tonight's survey and also leave your name. Right now, we will celebrate someone from October. Sharon, could you give the wheel a spin? Our lucky winner will receive a wellness kit that includes a fanny pack, gloves, wipes, a health journal, and a resistant band from Suburban Hospital. Our team will follow up with you via email to make sure you receive your gift. In a few days, each of you will receive an email with a link to tonight's program, another copy of tonight's recipes, as well as other resources you saw tonight. Our hope is that you will use these resources to help support your wellness throughout this month until we meet again. Thank you for joining us and have a great night and have a great Thanksgiving.